Since 1906, when Dr. Elo Alzheimer first described a peculiar disease that affected people's memories, Alzheimer's disease has been diagnosed based on a patient's symptoms of memory loss. New research is redefining how medical experts identify Alzheimer's. Dr. Curtis is joining me to explain why this shift is so important. And welcome, Dr. Curtis. We've just been chatting a few moments ago, and I wanted to get right off the bat those two terms, dementia and Alzheimer's. Very quickly, it's not an interchangeable word.
That's correct, and thank you for having me. Correct. Alzheimer's disease is a specific subtype of dementia. Dementia is an umbrella term, and there are about 20 different forms of dementia.
And now, as I mentioned at the beginning, we're looking at a whole new shift in, research and diagnosis of Alzheimer's. So tell us a little bit more about this.
That's correct, and this is actually a seismic shift in the way we look at Alzheimer's disease. For instance, if somebody is 70 years old and they develop the symptoms of Alzheimer's disease, which we all know to be memory loss, short-term memory loss, it turns out that the disease actually started about 20 years prior in their 50s. Correct, and they start building up this protein called amyloid over those 20 years, and eventually it builds up enough to where it starts to destroy the memory cells or the nerve cells in the brain.
So really, this research is now kind of cutting edge as far as don't look at something or someone at 70, but maybe at an earlier time.
Exactly. Imagine heart disease. If somebody is 70 and they have a heart attack, imagine if we looked at them then and said, oh, well, we better take care of this after they've had the heart attack. That's essentially what we do now in Alzheimer's disease. But in heart disease, we can go back to age 50 or 55, and we lower their cholesterol, we put them on a good diet, and we can prevent or reduce their chance of that heart attack. Well, now in Alzheimer's disease, with these new guidelines proposed by the NIA, or the National Institute of Aging, we're going to be able to diagnose Alzheimer's disease when they have the buildup of this amyloid at about age 55 to 60, which is really a seismic shift in the diagnosis.
That is amazing, because we often don't think about even, thinking about Alzheimer's, until you are, say, over 60, over 70. So there really are new medical tools available now to maybe have an earlier diagnosis.
That's correct. So primarily we're using PET scans. Most people have heard of PET scans through cancer diagnosis. And what that is we use a radio-labeled sugar, and of course you can diagnose cancer because cancer will eat up the sugar quicker than the tissue around it. So we can see it as a hot spot on a PET scan. Well, in Alzheimer's disease, we're using PET scans with a different tracer, and that tracer will bind to the amyloid and tell us that the brain is starting to build this amyloid up 15 years prior to the symptoms of memory loss.
So it really is an important tool that now we can maybe get a diagnosis so much earlier, and with so much cutting edge, discoveries coming each and every day, we can do something about Alzheimer's.
That's right. It's going to be crucial to find, once again, going back to my heart disease analogy, imagine if we only treated that heart attack after it occurred. We do almost no good to the patient. Well, in Alzheimer's disease, we're probably not doing what we should be doing. And by moving 15 years earlier in the disease, I think we're going to be able to make significant advances in research.
Well, Dr. Curtis, thank you so much for sharing this incredible change in how dementia and Alzheimer's is being discussed.